Alright, so I'm finally getting around to this post in regards to the collision of the USS Fitzgerald. And if you don't know what I'm talking about and you're new to this channel, go to the video description and check out the video called How to Gematria. I'm also going to leave a link to a bunch of these, a priest playlist that I made, because a bunch of this weird stuff was happening to me one night. We were watching The Simpsons, and then I turned it to South Park, and it ended up being the child molesting priest episode, and it was like right when I was starting to watch the movie Spotlight about the child molesting priests. And I talked about how that episode was called Red Hot Catholic Love, that equals 87 in Gematria, and the word priest equals 87, and the movie Spotlight is about exposing the 87 priests in the Boston area. A ton of other stuff. And basically what I was talking about that video was I was being shown Father's Day and fathers and priests, and there was something to do with this priest that used to be the priest where I grew up or whatever, and I still live here, but he was the priest when I was a little kid, and we always knew he was a child molester. He did a lot of weird things, and there was always this inside joke that he molested me as a kid or whatever, or in junior high or whatever. And his name was Father Howard Fitzgerald, that equals 87 in Gematria. And I made all these blog posts and whatnot, and then not even a week later, we get a story about the USS Fitzgerald getting in a collision by Japan and whatnot. And I thought, what in the world? And throughout this post, I've got some of the other things I was talking about in regards to other priests that were in the town that I live in. It's seemingly involved in this story. And it's not the first time I've documented things in my own life that are coming up in the media, but this one just really took the cake for me when I saw it. I thought, what are the odds that the USS Fitzgerald gets in a collision just after I'm talking about Father Fitzgerald being a child molester, and there's all this Jesuit stuff going on in my life, or at least that I feel like, for whatever the reason, I've been drawn to certain stories that are connected to the Jesuits. But if you don't know what I'm saying, please check out the link in the description, or the links in the description, and you'll have a way better understanding of what I'm talking about, why I'm talking about it. I mean, I don't know everything. I don't fully understand what is going on, but I know that it is going on, and the things that are happening are coded by the numbers. So anyway, first off, in Gematria, they call it, the U.S. destroyer here. A U.S. destroyer, that equals 169. And then there were 7 missing sailors. That was the big thing in the article. 7 missing sailors. 7 missing equals 169 in reverse, and Father's Day is the 169th day of the year. So I thought, interesting, the USS Fitzgerald, I've been talking about Father's Day, fathers as in priests and whatnot. And if you read out USS Fitzgerald in Gematria, the small way it equals 59, and the big way 167. That's interesting because the date numerology that this crash supposedly happened, 6 plus 16 plus 20 plus 17, it equals 59. And June 16th, the day that it happened, also the 167th day of the year. So the date numerology matches up with the gematria of the ship, and also the day of the year matches up with the gematria of the ship. So perfect day for this ship to get into a collision. And this was before they even had the names out of the sailors and whatnot, but they tell us Commander Bryce Benson was one of the 3 injured sailors, blah, blah, blah. They don't tell us about any of the other ones. In this article, Bryce Benson equals 59, just like USS Fitzgerald. And this is what the media does constantly. They put names in the stories that sync up to the things that the story is about. And if it's a celebrity or whatever else, you always, if you look at their birthday, Their name gematria is always synced up to how many days away they died from their birthday, or, you know, whatever they were famous for, every single time. So also the story goes on to tell us that the two ships collided at about 2:30 in the Pacific, 56 nautical miles from the port of Yokosuka, and 12 miles off the Izu, or however you pronounce it, Izu Peninsula, right? 12 miles off the Izu Peninsula, 59 and 167. Identical to U.S. Fitzgerald. You know? What are the odds of that? It's because it's coded by the numbers, whether this story even truly happened or not, coded by the numbers. It happened this way because of the numbers, or they manipulated the numbers, you know, to make it fit with the story. Because the people that I'm talking about, the Freemasons, the Jesuits, the people like the royal family that are involved in all of it, they are obsessed with the system of numbers. They kill people by the numbers, you know. They do everything by the numbers. So anyway, I thought I'd look into the ship. I was like, all right, we'll look into the USS Fitzgerald. Sometimes when things happen, I look into the town and you find out a whole lot of interesting information about the town that it happened in. And when I looked up the USS Fitzgerald, I noticed that the builder, if it'll let me click on it here, well, it's not going to let me click on it. I don't know what's wrong with it, but it says the builder is Bath Iron Works, right? And I thought, and when I clicked on Bath Iron Works, it takes you to you know, the town of Bath, Maine. And if you've watched my priest videos, the priest that came after Father Howard Fitzgerald was Father Paul. And Father Paul, he just so happened to die in a bathtub on the Jesuit residence at Creighton University, a Jesuit university. He died age 63 on a date numerology of 63. He died 6 months, 3 days after the Jesuit anniversary, and Father Paul in Gematria equals 63. And Father Howard, the priest that Pope Francis actually took out of the Catholic Church or whatever because he was convicted or whatever of molesting kids, the story of him came out on June 30th, 6/30. You know, take out the 0. In numerology, supposedly you don't use the 0. It's a lot like 6-3. And he got kicked out of the Catholic Church just days after his 63rd birthday. He was kicked out on January 19th, a lot like 119, and his name equals 119 in Gematria. It's just stupid, you know. They even kicked him out 35 years after being a priest, right? 35, the word Catholic equals 35. So, interesting, you know. It's just stuff I'm talking about. Now, the ship is named after Father Fitzgerald. One of the big topics I was talking about was the death of Father Paul, the priest after him. And then after Father Paul died, Father Fitzgerald came back to the town or whatever. Because I know this for the fact, I quit going to church at that time, but he was the priest when my sister got married, and I told my sister I wouldn't be in her wedding if he was the guy who did it, because I always knew he was a child molester, and my sister got another guy, the deacon or something, to be the guy who married her. But I mean, what are the odds? Father Paul dies in a bathtub. USS Fitzgerald, built in Bath Iron Works in Bath, Maine. Pretty ridiculous, pretty crazy. You know, not just the other day, my last video, or before I made 2 earlier tonight, the last video before that I was talking about my girlfriend being pregnant in a gender reveal party, and then we get a story about a shooting at the gender reveal party, you know? Like, seemingly it seems like the things I'm talking about, within a week they come up in the mainstream media. It was even in Ohio, and the way they worded it was Ohio Gender Reveal Party. And if you write that out, it has the same gematria as my girlfriend's name. Just, you know, weird stuff. So, anyway, I also pointed out that the ship was commissioned in the year 95, and that's the same year that Father Howard came to my town or whatever, September of 1995. The ship was also named in honor of this guy, William Fitzgerald. His name in Gematria equals 187. Society of Jesus, which is the Jesuits. Society of Jesus in the reverse way equals 187. His name, William Charles Fitzgerald, his full name. It equals 118 in gematria, just like if you write out Father Howard Fitzgerald the big way. Maybe, I think I said Howard Fitzgerald at the beginning. Father Howard, I think it's just Howard Fitzgerald equals 87, like priest. You know, fitting for him to become a priest and whatnot. But there's so much to remember, you know, so I know I talked about it before, though, in the previous video. And notice this guy. Look at this guy's born. Or he died on 8/7, like priest, right? It's just so ridiculous. Super connected to what I've been talking about. Actually, I'm just going to type it out really quick because I want to know now. Howard Fitzgerald. Howard Fitzgerald, 87. The word, and also 84, like Jesuit. Let's talk about Jesuit. Jesuit, 84. Priest, 87. So it was just Howard Fitzgerald equals 87. He's a priest. But I mean, what are the odds? This guy's on 8/7, and I'm talking about how it's connected to Howard Fitzgerald, the priest. Priest equals 87. Howard Fitzgerald equals 87. He also died 191 days after his birthday. Society of Jesus, the non-reverse way, the regular way, equals 191. I also pointed out that it says the ship was sponsored by that guy's wife. This guy right here, his wife, Betty Fitzgerald. I'm not even joking you. 2 houses down from my mom and dad, when I grew up, there was an old lady and her name was Betty Fitzgerald. 2 houses down. And what's even funnier is that my friend, I think he moved here in 1st grade. He lived there for a certain amount of years. I can't remember. Then they moved out to a house in the country, and then she moved into that house. But my friend is connected to it as well. So I'll explain it here in a second. But anyway, sponsored by Betty Fitzgerald. I looked this lady up. Who knows? I didn't know if she's still alive or in the nursing home or whatever. And if you go, well, it says that she died on 4/7, right? She died on 4/7, and her birthday was May 24th. So she died on 4/7, 47 days before her birthday. Like, you know, and her birthday was on 5/24, something that I've mentioned about Pope Francis and Donald Trump. Donald Trump met Pope Francis on 5/24 this year, the 144th day of the year. JFK died 5 months, 24 days after his birthday, and he met the Pope. He died 144 days after meeting the Pope in 1963, right? Think about 63. I'm talking about all the 63s I just mentioned in regards to the priests in the town that I live in. Even I never mentioned it in that video, I don't think, but I only remember 2 other priests when I was a little kid. One guy was Father Jim. I can't find any information about him. I don't know what his name is for sure or whatever. But if you write out Father Jim, it equals 63 in the reverse way. And Friendly Father Fred, that was another guy. He died on the 63rd day of the year, March 4th or whatever. It's like, so every priest that I had as a little kid, or at least have a memory of, they literally have a connection to the number 63. And I talked about my uncle being a Knight of Columbus and whatever else, and he died at the age of 63 and 191 days before his birthday, and his name equals 191. He died at a Jesuit university in a really strange way that doesn't make any sense, but none of my family will question it whatsoever. So I guess moral of the story, I'm just saying that interesting, her birthday of May 24th. That's the day Pope Francis and Donald Trump met. JFK died in the year 63, 5 months, 24 days after his birthday. This is the 144th day of the year. JFK died 144 days after meeting the Pope. I also pointed out that Betty Fitzgerald died 318 days after her birthday, which is interesting because it's also 10 months, 14 days. But, well, sorry if I'm losing you, but 318 is this number that's been associated with the God number, and it's reverse It's connected to reverse pi and a whole bunch of things. But if you watch the TV show, if you watch the TV show Touch, just watch the first episode. You'll understand what I'm talking about being the God number. The second coming of Jesus supposedly mentioned 318 times in the New Testament. It's a number connected to God, So interesting too, though. Like I said, 10 months, 14 days, also 318 days. The USS Fitzgerald commissioned on October 14th. And the kids that lived there before Betty moved there were my friend Clark, who was in my class, and his sister Lisa, who was the year below. And in Gematria, his name equals 312 in Jewish, a number I've been talking about with the angel Michael, a number also connected to the Jesuits. Pope equals 312 in Sumerian Gematria. And Pope Francis's real name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, and the reverse method equals 312. Francis Xavier, one of the founders of the Society of Jesus, he was canonized on March 12th, 3/12, and he died on December 3rd, which in lots of parts of the world they write it as 3/12. 12/3, 3/12. Ignatius of Loyola became a saint on 3/12. He was also another founder of the Jesuits. So interesting, my friend would have, I haven't talked to him since I graduated. I think one time since I graduated, but interesting. His name equals that, and his sister's name equals 318 in Jewish, right? They moved into this house with this lady who died 318 days after her birthday. This number that's been super interrelated to tons of things this year. I even talked about my uncle. He died 3 months, 18 days after the Jesuit anniversary, and his birthday and my birthday were 3 months and 18 days apart. So I tried looking him up on Facebook, and I only have his wife's Facebook. You see, he doesn't have one. I think they share one. And when I looked it up, and she was also a classmate of mine, by the way, but I looked it up, and look when her birthday is. The Jesuit anniversary. What are the odds of that, It's just crazy. The odds of her birthday being the same as the Jesuit anniversary. I've recently on my blog, I haven't made videos of it yet, but I was talking a lot about the death of Batman and Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey equals 102. Drew Carey equals 102. The Price is Right equals 102. Mariah Carey even equals 102. And I DJ'd for the Carey family in Moorhead and whatnot on the night before Father's Day, and I hit a deer. There's some weird stuff, And in regards to Father's Day, well, I guess it's after midnight now, but it was the 191st day of the year, like Society of Jesus. And I found out that my dad has to get shoulder surgery. He hurt his shoulder the other night working out on the farm or whatever, and he did something again to his shoulder, has to get surgery. And also my grandpa, who is his dad, right, his father, 84 years old, he has cancer. And I don't know if I'm supposed to tell anybody that, but none of my family watches these videos anyway, so whatever. My dad said that I wasn't supposed to tell anybody because he's the only one who knew or whatever. So my 84-year-old grandpa has cancer. My dad has his shoulder surgery. And it's also my mom and dad's 35th wedding anniversary today, too. So Catholic equals 35. It's just some weird stuff, The word Jesuit equals 84. I don't know if I explained that. That's why it's significant of my grandpa being 84 years old. Anyway, in regards to Batman and whatnot that I have been mentioning on my blog at Jim Carrey and tons of stuff. Jim Carrey, the Riddler, does Gematria and is whatever when he's the Riddler. And, he's in the number 23 that they use Gematria and come up with some crazy way to get pink. Instead of just actually using Gematria where the word equals, whatever he says, pink equals that number. But instead he does it some crazy way. But anyway, my friend's sister, who also lived in that house where Betty Fitzgerald lived, she, on Facebook, it says she lives in Aurora, Colorado, right? Think about that. The Batman shooting and everything else. Donald Trump said that he was Batman at the Iowa State Fair and the helicopter and whatnot. Helicopter equals 51. Batman equals 51. Donald Trump, 15 years, 51 days older than Obama. Just before Donald Trump said that, we got the 2 theater shootings in whatever it was, Antioch, Tennessee, and then the train wreck shooting. It's just so ridiculous. Lincoln died in a theater too. Just makes you wonder, you know. It really seemed like they were foreshadowing the assassination of Obama with all that, but all because of the number 44. But Donald Trump's the 44th person to be the president, even though he's the 45th president, because of Grover Cleveland, and he has all these big connections to Cleveland, with his Republican National Convention being in Cleveland just after the Cleveland Cavaliers won the NBA Finals. Cleveland equals 51. LeBron James equals 51. They hadn't won a sports championship in 51 years. Cleveland Cavs equal 51. Quicken Loans equal 51. Last year, after winning, they visited the White House on November 10th, the day that leaves 51 days in the year. I believe that was the day Donald Trump was at the White House, too. Anyway, isn't it interesting, too? My friend Clark and his sister Lisa, they're born 4 months and 7 days apart. Or their birthdays are 4 months and 7 days apart. Obviously, they couldn't be. But 4 months, 7 days apart, they move into this house of this lady who dies 47 days before her birthday. And she dies on 4/7. It's craziness, you know? Absolute craziness. I also pointed out that the other place in this article on CNN about the USS Fitzgerald, the Yokosuka, Japan equals 191 in Gematria, like Society of Jesus. And another funny thing to me, because when they moved here from Griswold, Iowa. Right? Think about that. Clark Griswold. I always thought this was funny, even as a little kid, because of National Lampoon's Clark Griswold. And he even used to bring Clark bars, the candy bar, to school on his birthday and whatnot. And they came from Griswold, Iowa. Clark Griswold. You know, in my head, I've always thought that was funny to me. If you write out Griswold, Iowa, it equals 169. Just like Father's Day. Just like all the stuff clear at the top I was talking about. National Lampoon's equals 191. Just like Society of Jesus. It also, who knows, the article mentioned the Fitzgerald was an Arleigh Burke class guided missile destroyer. If you read out Arleigh Burke class guided missile destroyer, it equals 184. Just like USS Fitzgerald in the reverse method. And 184, I still don't understand what it means, but 6 months and 3 days is also 184 days. So, and not always, but Father Paul died 184 days after the Jesuit anniversary, but it was also 6 months and 3 days. So I don't know if there's something going on with that. I've talked about this number before as well. My nephew equals 184, his full name. My daughter's full name equals 184. And May 13th, the special number to the angel Gabriel that I've mentioned a whole lot, it's 184 days after my own birthday. I also just wrote in a little side note here, and I still haven't done that much research into baseball and whatever else, but it has seemingly been that the theme that I've been following every single year for the past 3 years has been connected to baseball. And I'm always like spot on with baseball. And so who knows? We'll see if it pans out this year. If it doesn't, it doesn't, you know. But I guarantee you, I'm almost positive that this year, the teams that make the World Series, at least one of them will be connected to the Jesuits. And I haven't done enough research. Like I said, Minnesota Twins, you know, they equal 84, like Jesuit. But the team that really sticks out to me the most is the Yankees, because they have identical gematria as Society of Jesus. Right now we have the Houston Astros, who are connected to the space theme, right? Houston, the space. And they're on a roll right now. They're just owning games. The Yankees don't look like they've been losing a lot lately. who really knows? It's super rigged though, and I don't know. It just reminds me of the year 2001, and we've had a lot of 9/11 symbolism. We got Donald Trump as the president, North Korea going crazy, or so that's what we're being told, and everything else. So it just makes me wonder if it is connected to the Yankees. If they do make it, I don't think they're going to win. It doesn't make any sense for them to win. But they also didn't win in 2001 when the Mariners were on a roll. And, then right after 9/11 happened, the Yankees all of a sudden made the World Series, New York and the Yankees. But in 2001, the Yankees upset the Mariners or whatever, and they upset them 41 days after 9/11, and they beat them 4-1 in the series. And 9/11 was all about 41. Al-Qaeda equals 41. Date numerology, 9 plus 11 plus 20 plus 1 equals 41. Airplanes equal 41. Can't even remember it all. Muslims equal 41. Zionists equal 41. The real people who, were responsible. I believe even Seattle Mariners equals 179, the 41st prime or something. I mean, there's just so much 41 going on. It just makes me wonder, the Astros have been rolling and everything else. And New York Yankees equal identical. And Fitzgerald equals 54 to 108. And also in the reverse method, 162. 162 regular season games in a Major League Baseball season. If you write out Major League Baseball, it equals 162. Just write out Major League, it equals 108. 108 double stitches on the baseball. Baseball equals 54. And also 162 in the reverse method. Just lots of things. This ship said the hit happened on the starboard side, that equals 54. So just pointing it out, that's why I think it's connected to baseball and whatnot. And I'm positive that the Jesuit thing is connected to the baseball season. And it's even funny because, let me pull it up here. I just documented it today, if the internet will load. But the Houston Astros won 19-1. And, 191, like Society of Jesus. But it's 102 days before the World Series, which makes me wonder if it's still connected to New York in a roundabout way. Because the World Trade Center attack supposedly lasted 102 minutes. Al-Qaeda and Jewish gematria equals 102. And 102 is this big number that I keep getting shown in regards to the Jesuit stuff connected to the priest stuff. So, well, it will not load. Hold on, I'm going to pause it for a second. All right, here we go. So the Astros beat the Jays 19-1, right? And it was yesterday, so it was on the 9th, 7/9, and I can't even remember what it is. Society of Jesus equals 79, maybe? Yeah, Society of Jesus equals 79 in the reduced reverse. And then they won 19-1, 191. It's connected to the space theme that I've mentioned a whole lot. But I don't know, the 102 days makes me wonder if it's somehow connected to the Yankees. That Mariners game that I was talking about, when they beat them 4-1, that final game was 3 hours and 18 minutes long. And they won 3-12, or 12-3, 3-12, right? This number I've talked about with the Jesuits. I don't know right now, honestly. Last year it took me until about July to kind of figure out the theme that I think is going on. And I've talked a lot about the Angels stuff too. It makes me wonder if, somehow the Angels are going to get a wild card and make the World Series. Who knows? There's some other things to think about. I haven't went through all the teams, but the Yankees have that huge Jesuit connection. Also, 41 days is 1 month, 11 days. New York equals 111. Remember, the Mets were in the 111th World Series. Pretty much foreshadowed from the movie Trainwreck, too, where they loved the Mets or whatever. They hated the Yankees. And it came to the end on 11-1 after Matt Harvey wouldn't come out after 111 pitches and whatever else, But going to end it here. like I said, I have more research. Just wanted to show how it's interesting. It's connected to my life. The same thing happened last year with the Native American team and the Indians in the World Series. So have a good one. Peace.